Alright, real question. How many of you got a PS5 just to replay your PS4 games in higher quality? Be honest, I know you did. But here's the truth, this console has some crazy good exclusives that make all that waiting in line actually worth it. I've played them all, from the huge titles everyone knows to the hidden ones no one mentions. And I've picked 18 games you need to check out. Some will take over your free time, others will break your brain, but every single one is a must-play.
Demon's Souls on PS5 is Bluepoint's way of showing what happens when a remake goes beyond expectations. This isn't just a visual upgrade, it's a complete recreation that turns a 2009 classic into something that still outshines most 2024 releases. The Tower of Latria in 4K is pure nightmare fuel. Haptic feedback and 3D audio make every battle feel alive. You sense each sword clash and hear the enemy breathing behind you. It's still brutal and unforgiving, and that's exactly the point. There are no bonfires, only archstones. Die in human form and the world gets harsher. The bosses may look simple now, but the real magic is in the atmosphere and the tension. Valley of Defilement is still FromSoft's most oppressive creation. The multiplayer revamp feels seamless. Invading someone in 4K 60 FPS is beautifully cruel. Systems like world and character tendency remain mysterious but rewarding. Demon's Souls proved that graphics can intensify emotion. Every pixel adds to its aura of dread. It walked so Elden Ring could run. Street Fighter VI is Capcom's victory lap, a bold, stylish return that redefines the fighting scene. After Street Fighter V's rough start, this entry feels like a celebration of everything fun about fighting games. World Tour Mode lets you build a ridiculous custom fighter and roam Metro City, brawling and learning moves from the legends. I made a monster that looks like Shrek joined the UFC, and he's a star. The new drive system is a game changer. Drive Impact, Drive Parry, Drive Rush, a beautiful mind game of fireballs and timing. Even casual players can pull off Daigo-level moments. Modern controls make it easier for newcomers without killing depth. Rollback netcode is flawless. Fighting someone across the world feels local. The Battle Hub captures that old-school arcade spirit with live spectators and instant matches. Every fighter oozes personality. Jamie's drunken swagger, Marissa's brutal power, JP's cold menace. Street Fighter VI is Capcom's love letter to its roots, but with a modern soul. Horizon Forbidden West is Guerrilla Games at their peak, taking everything great from Zero Dawn and turning it into something bigger, bolder, and more emotional. Underwater exploration completely changes how you see this world. Swimming through sunken ruins while mechanical crocodiles hunt you is terrifying and beautiful. Aloy feels more real than ever, flawed, human, and constantly learning. Her bond with Beta brings genuine heart to the story. The machines themselves are spectacular. The Slitherfang's storm-soaked desert battle or the Tide Ripper emerging from the waves are jaw-dropping. The visuals of San Francisco and Vegas reclaimed by nature are hauntingly stunning. The skill tree finally matters, letting you specialize in stealth, traps, or melee. I turned mine into a walking minefield. Flying a Sunwing over the map never gets old. The story twists, Fair Zenith, Nemesis, Silence hit hard. Horizon Forbidden West is both a technical showpiece and a story with heart.
Returnal feels like Super Metroid crashed into a Lovecraftian nightmare and came back addicted to its own loop. Every death isn't failure, it's progress. Celine's slow descent into madness mirrors yours as you chase that perfect run. The combat is a chaotic ballet of bullets and dodges, painting the screen in neon. Each weapon feels wildly unique. The Electropylon driver sets up electric death traps, while the Rotglin lobber melts everything in acid. Finding perfect traits feels like striking gold. The house segments hit hard emotionally, adding a psychological layer to all that alien violence. With 3D audio and haptic feedback, you literally feel the world breathing around you. Raindrops, gunfire, and panic. Returnal is brutal, yes, but also weirdly transcendent. When you finally sync with its rhythm, the rush is unmatched. It's one of those games that punishes you hard, but makes you thank it afterward. Gran Turismo 7 is Polyphony Digital's obsession turned art form, a love letter to car culture so detailed it makes real cars jealous. The cafe mode is brilliant, teaching you automotive history while you collect cars like Pokemon. That's how I learned the Mazda XR7's rotary engine was inspired by a German engineer. Each vehicle handles differently. A 60s Beetle versus a modern Ferrari is night and day. The DualSense controller lets you feel every bump, every shift in grip, every ripple of rain on the track. Scapes mode is photography heaven. I've spent hours staging shots that look more real than real life. Post-launch economy fixes made it much fairer, and the dynamic weather adds heart-stopping chaos. One minute you're flying down the ring, the next you're hydroplaning into a guardrail. Gran Turismo 7 isn't just a racing game, it's a moving, playable encyclopedia for anyone who's ever loved a car. Resident Evil 4 Remake pulls off the impossible. It takes one of the most iconic games ever made and rebuilds it from the ground up without losing an ounce of what made it special. Leon's still cracking one-liners, but this time Ashley isn't just a liability. She's actually helpful. She assists in puzzles, tosses you healing items, and even has her own fun section. Combat feels tighter and more modern, yet still familiar. Parrying a chainsaw with your knife never stops being satisfying. The merchant's back too with his legendary, "What are you buying?" And yes, it still hits. The expanded castle, Lewis getting proper character moments, that slick new ending, it all feels perfectly natural. The atmosphere's darker, thicker. That rainy village fight will make your palms sweat. And those regenerators, pure nightmare fuel. This is how you remake a classic. Respectful, bold, and completely essential.
Ghost of Yotei just dropped, and honestly, I'm already planning my entire year around it. Sucker Punch looked at Ghost of Tsushima and said, let's go even harder. A new protagonist, Atsu, a new era, a new region surrounding the breathtaking Mount Yotei. It's set during the early Edo period, a time of political chaos and shifting loyalties, and that change in tone is refreshing. Atsu fights with a fierce, almost reckless energy, combining firearms with traditional weapons in a style that feels raw and personal. The story seems more introspective, with Atsu battling her own shame and past. And visually, unreal. That snow-capped mountain constantly watching from the distance gives the game this haunting beauty. The revealed trailer alone felt poetic. Music, camera work, atmosphere. You can tell they're not just chasing Jin's legacy, they're redefining it. If Tsushima was a masterpiece, Yotei might just be a legend in the making. Baldur's Gate 3 devoured 200 hours of my life, and I'd gladly sacrifice 200 more. This isn't just an RPG. It's a living, breathing story that bends around every choice. You can flirt your way through danger, talk down bosses, or blow up an entire camp with a stack of explosives. The game doesn't judge, it just smiles and hands you more options. The writing? Insanely good. Shadowheart, Asterion, Karlach, these aren't just party members. They're people you grow attached to, for better or worse. Combat is like chess if every piece had fireballs and attitude. Every encounter is a puzzle, and the freedom to solve it your way is addictive. Play it solo or with friends. Though, fair warning, multiplayer chaos is half the fun. One friend's diplomacy, another's starting bar fights. It's messy, hilarious, and unforgettable. Honestly, if storytelling is your thing, this is the gold standard. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is pure animated magic, like stepping into a Pixar movie armed with absurdly powerful weapons. The PS5 flexes hard here. Those instant dimensional jumps feel like literal sorcery. Rivet absolutely steals the spotlight. She's not just female Ratchet, she's her own hero. Tough, funny, vulnerable, and impossible not to root for. The weapons? Total chaos. The topiary sprinkler turns enemies into garden art. The ricochet feels like a drunk bullet having fun. And the Rhino 8, it literally drops random objects from other PlayStation universes. I once saw Sly Cooper's cane crash into the battlefield. Every world is overflowing with detail and charm, from neon-drenched cities to singing robot pirates. It's funny, heartfelt, and stunning to look at. Insomniac made sure everyone can play with tons of accessibility options. Short? Maybe, but it's 12 hours of pure joy. Sometimes that's all you need. God of War Ragnarok isn't just a sequel. It's an emotional gut punch wrapped in thunder and myth. Kratos may still be smashing gods to pieces, but now he's fighting something even harder: fatherhood. Atreus isn't a kid anymore. He's wrestling with his own destiny, and watching that tension unfold is powerful. The combat, sharp as ever, switching between the Leviathan axe, blades of chaos, and that new spear feels buttery smooth. Every fight lands with crunch and weight. Each realm feels alive, from the glowing forests of Vanaheim to icy vistas bursting with detail. The side quests actually matter too. There's one with a whale that'll stick with you long after the credits roll. The storytelling is cinematic but deeply human, turning Norse mythology into something personal and fresh. When the final battle hits, it's epic in every sense. And when it's over, you just sit there, stunned, fulfilled, and wanting more. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 hits like a dream and a heartbreak rolled into one. This French indie debut turns turn-based JRPGs into moving pieces of art. The concept alone sounds poetic and cruel. Every year, a paintress wipes out everyone of a certain age, and your crew's racing the clock to stop her before it's your turn to vanish. Combat blends traditional turns with real-time timing, perfect parries, timed strikes, clever use of the environment. It's sharp and stylish, like a philosophy lesson taught through boss fights. The world looks hand-painted, colors swirling between beauty and decay, like Monet decided to capture the end of everything. The characters aren't your usual archetypes. They're broken, reflective, chasing meaning before time runs out. It's melancholic, but never melodramatic, honest in its sadness. Clair Obscur proves that even despair can be beautiful, and that this French studio's debut is something special. Alan Wake 2 takes psychological horror and scribbles it into your nightmares. Remedy goes full meta here, splitting time between Alan, lost inside the dark place, and Saga Anderson, an FBI agent chasing ritual murders that twist reality itself. The way their stories overlap is mind-bending brilliance. Every frame looks cinematic, reflections shimmer, shadows breathe, and one TV studio sequence, pure art. The combat isn't flashy, it's desperate, panicked survival, fumbling for batteries while the world rewrites itself around you. It's equal parts Stephen King and Twin Peaks with a cold Scandinavian edge. The pacing is slow but deliberate, forcing you to soak in the dread. It's the kind of game that lingers, the one you keep thinking about days later. Alan Wake 2 doesn't just scare you, it gets inside your head and rearranges the furniture. Just maybe don't play it alone in the dark. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth feels like the Empire Strikes Back moment of this trilogy. Bigger, bolder, and emotionally charged. Square Enix took everything from the remake and dialed it to 11. Vast open zones, dozens of minigames, and Queen's Blood might just dethrone Gwent. But the magic lies in how it plays with nostalgia, reimagining moments you thought you knew, then flipping them upside down. That Aerith scene? You'll need tissues. Combat flows beautifully, with synergy attacks making every battle feel choreographed. Cloud and Tifa's combo moves hit hard, and R13 finally roars like the legend he is. The world dazzles. Costa del Sol feels like a real vacation spot. Grasslands glow at sunset. Even the smaller interactions matter, from beach hangouts to heartfelt side quests. It's massive, maybe too massive, but when the biggest flaw is there's too much good stuff, you know you're playing greatness.
Death Stranding 2 is Hideo Kojima unleashed. Stranger, slicker, and somehow even more human. Traversing the landscape isn't just walking anymore. Now you're surfing tar waves and testing wild new tools that bend physics. Norman Reedus returns, joined by an eerie new villain played by Troy Baker and an unforgettable performance from Elle Fanning. The motion capture borders on film level. Every blink and tremor feels alive. The world's harsher, denser, pulsing with danger as timefall reshapes terrain and new threats crawl from the dark. And yes, there are puppets, because Kojima. The multiplayer side expands too. Player structures matter more, turning solitude into community in surreal, unexpected ways. The story, still mysterious, still obsessed with connection and extinction.
It's part art film, part fever dream, part delivery adventure. You won't always understand it, but you'll feel it. And that's the beauty of Kojima at full power.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2 swings in like a blockbuster that forgot it's supposed to be just a game. You swap between Peter and Miles, and their fighting styles couldn't feel more different. Peter's symbiote powers hit with raw, monstrous force, while Miles dances with electric precision. The story hits harder than expected. Kraven's menacing, Harry's heartbreak cuts deep, and every mission feels cinematic. The web swinging, somehow smoother than ever. Gliding over Queens and Brooklyn with those new web wings feels unreal, a perfect blend of freedom and flow. And the city itself, now doubled in size, feels alive from Coney Island to Astoria. Even side missions pack meaning, from Mysterio's illusions to quiet science puzzles that hit emotional notes. Then the boss fights, chaos in the best way. It's shorter than some open worlds, sure, but it never wastes a second. This is superhero storytelling perfected.
Metaphor Fantasia is what happens when the Persona team decides to trade Tokyo streets for a full-blown fantasy fever dream. Imagine the signature social links, turn-based combat, and time management, but dropped into a world where people morph into colossal mechanical knights mid-battle. You're not just saving the world, you're campaigning for the throne while it's crumbling around you. The archetype system, basically jobs turned up to 11. You can fuse roles in wild combinations that make every fight unpredictable. The art direction looks like Hieronymus Bosch crash landing in an anime, and somehow it works. Gallica, your fairy companion, isn't just your chatterbox guide. She's got her own emotional arc that sneaks up on you. Shoji Meguro's soundtrack goes absolutely feral, with boss themes that refuse to leave your head. It starts slow, sure, but once it clicks, you're gone, lost in another Atlas obsession for the next 100 hours. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered still splits the room, but on PS5, it's like seeing the heartbreak in 4K. The upgraded visuals, smoother animations, and that brutal new roguelike mode hit harder than ever. It's not just a parade of misery, it's a brutal look at revenge, love, and the cost of keeping the cycle spinning. Every gunshot sounds desperate, every stealth takedown feels personal, and when enemies scream each other's names, it sticks with you. Playing as both Ellie and Abby forces you into uncomfortable empathy, and that's what makes it brilliant. The lost levels give you a peek behind the curtain, playable deleted scenes that show how much the story could have changed, and no return mode turns pure survival into addictive chaos. Seattle's rotting beauty, the flooded streets, the forest chases, all sharper, sadder, and impossible to forget. Love it or hate it, it's still unforgettable. Elden Ring redefines what open world design can be, and it doesn't care if you're ready. From Software took the soul of Dark Souls and stretched it across a land so huge, you could spend hours just chasing a glint on the horizon. See a castle in the distance? You can go there, and probably die horribly when you do. The bosses are unforgettable. Melania's elegance hides pure cruelty, while Rodden's fight feels like a myth in motion. Every loss stings, every victory feels earned. The multiplayer adds its own flavor of madness. One minute you're summoning help, the next you're invaded by some lunatic named Lettuce God 420. And yet, every defeat teaches you something. You come back smarter, stronger, more determined. That's the magic. It's punishing, sure, but it's also empowering. Beat a boss here, and you don't just win a fight, you conquer yourself. So yeah, that's the list. A bunch of games that make your PS5 totally worth it. But I know everyone's got that one title they can't stop thinking about. Which one is it for you? Tell me in the comments. I actually read them all, and most of my next videos come from your suggestions. If you found a new favorite here, hit that like button, subscribe for more PlayStation videos, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. Now seriously, go play something. Why are you still watching this? Your PS5 is waiting.